Please, I beg you. I did nothing wrong.
Shameless girl. She deceived all of us. No. Zola is not that kind of child.
You carried a pregnancy in secret while pretending to be pure? Tell us who the father is.
I swear before heaven, no man has ever touched me. She has been pretending all these years.
Your belly grows by itself, or are you the next Virgin Mary?
And then, thunder struck. Every voice in the village disappeared. The wind began to howl, as if something ancient had finally awakened. My father is already dead. Jesus. Spirit. No. Impossible. You buried him beneath the Ojuku tree. The village thought Zola carried shame. But what she carried was a dead man's revenge.
Welcome to African Tales by Ebe, where every story carries a lesson and every wound finds healing.
Deep inside the forests of eastern Nigeria sat a quiet village called Amamiri, a village where the river sang softly at night and every family knew each other's secrets before sunrise. Children played barefoot in the dust. Farmers returned home singing beneath golden sunsets. And when darkness covered the land, drums echoed beneath the stars. But among all the people in Amamiri, no one was loved more than Zola.
Walk well, daughter.
Zola was kind to everyone. Every morning before sunrise, she fetched water for old women too weak to walk to the stream. She cooked for widows who had nobody left. And when children fell sick, she stayed awake all night telling them stories until they smiled again. The villagers used to say, any home Zola enters becomes blessed. But blessings can quickly become curses in the eyes of fearful people. It began quietly. A small change, a growing stomach. At first, people thought she was sick. But then, the whispers began. She's hiding something. Maybe she meets a man at night. Maybe she has fooled all of us. And slowly, the love the village once had for Zola turned into poison. The women stopped greeting her at the stream. Men looked at her with disgust. Mothers dragged their children away whenever she walked past. Every night, Zola cried herself to sleep because she truly did not understand what was happening to her. She had never been with a man. Never. Even her own father could no longer bear the shame. One evening, he finally exploded. How can you keep lying to me? Papa, I swear, I do not know how this happened. No child grows without a father. And with tears running down her face, Zola ran into the darkness of her room. That night, the dream returned. A tall man stood beneath the giant Ojuku tree at the edge of the forest. His body was covered in shadows, but his eyes glowed like moonlight. He pointed silently toward the ground. And then, he vanished. Zola woke up gasping for air. The wind outside her hut howled strangely. And then, she saw it. A shadow standing beside her window, watching her, watching silently. The next morning, the village healer arrived. The old woman touched Zola's stomach and suddenly froze. Her hands began shaking violently. This child does not move like a human baby. Fear spread through the room like wildfire. The healer looked directly into Zola's eyes.
Tell me the truth. Did you enter the forbidden forest? Zola hesitated. She remembered the stormy evening she took shelter beneath the giant ojuku tree. And the moment she admitted it, the healer's face lost all color. The spirits followed you home. By sunset, the entire village knew. By nightfall, they called her cursed. Children threw stones at her hut. Women marked their doors with white chalk to keep evil away. And some villagers wanted her burned before disaster entered Amamiri. But while the villagers slept, something walked through Amamiri after midnight. Old men heard footsteps outside their compounds. Dogs barked at empty darkness. And every single night, Chief Maduka woke screaming from the same nightmare. You cannot hide what you buried. As Zola's pregnancy grew heavier, stranger things began happening. The well turned red. Goats refused to pass near the ojuku tree. And one night, the chief's young son disappeared into the forest, following a glowing man nobody else could see. Fear swallowed Amamiri whole. Because the child growing inside Zola was not ordinary. And the dead were preparing to speak.
The moon above Amamiri was enormous the night Zola went into labor. Thunder rolled across the skies. Strong winds shook every hut in the village. Palm trees bent violently, as if unseen spirits were rushing through the night.
Please.
Inside her small hut, Zola screamed in pain.
Somebody help
But nobody came to help her. The women who once loved her now called her cursed. Whispered female voices. She will give birth to a demon. She lay alone on the floor crying for her dead mother, completely abandoned. Outside, villagers gathered from a distance. Nobody dared to enter the hut.
She has angered the
And then, something strange happened. Every dog in Amamiri began howling at once. The air suddenly became cold. Very cold. People could see their breath like smoke. Chief Maduka stepped outside carrying a torch. What is happening? Before anyone answered, every torch in the village went out at the same time. Darkness swallowed Amamiri. Women screamed. Children cried. And from deep inside the forest came the sound of drums. Dum, dum, dum. Inside the hut, Zola felt a sharp pain tear through her body. And then, silence. Complete silence. No baby crying. Nothing. She looked down slowly and froze. The child was staring directly at her, wide awake. His eyes looked far too old for a newborn baby. At that exact moment, the hut door burst open. Chief Maduka and the elders rushed inside holding lanterns. But the moment they saw the child, they stopped moving. The baby smiled. A terrifying smile. The chief staggered backward. No! And then, the baby opened his mouth. But the voice that came out was not a child's voice.
You buried me beneath the ojuku tree.
One elder fainted instantly. The
chief's lantern fell from his hand.
You stole my gold, and you murdered your own blood.
Chief Maduka collapsed to his knees, shaking violently. The baby's eyes locked onto the chief.
You thought Okudili would never return.
The entire hut exploded into panic. Women screamed outside. Men ran in terror. But the baby never blinked. He continued staring directly at the chief.
30 years earlier, Chief Maduka's younger brother, Okudili, had mysteriously disappeared. The village was told he traveled far away. But suddenly, the impossible truth stood before everyone. The dead man had returned through Zola's child. The chief began crying uncontrollably. It was an accident. The baby's expression darkened. You buried me alive. The earth beneath the hut trembled violently. The baby slowly raised one tiny hand towards the forest. Take me to him. Nobody argued. Even the strongest men in Amamiri were trembling with fear. Carrying lanterns, the entire village followed the child into the forest, and the drums grew louder. Drums. Doom. 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 When they reached the giant Ojuku tree, the baby pointed toward the earth. Dig. The villagers hesitated. Then one man pushed his shovel into the ground. Metal. They dug faster. And soon, they uncovered a large wooden chest filled with gold. But beneath it, human bones appeared. Around the skeleton's neck hung Okudwali's royal pendant. The whole village gasped in horror. Chief Maduka tried to run, but suddenly the wind became violent. Lanterns exploded. Branches shook wildly. And from the darkness, a deep whisper echoed. Justice. The chief vanished into the storm. Nobody ever saw him again. The villagers stood frozen in terror. As the chief vanished into the storm, a hush fell over Amamiri. Then suddenly, Zola's baby let out a loud, terrifying cry. A strange wind swallowed the village, and in the blink of an eye, the baby was gone. Zola collapsed to the ground as the villagers screamed in fear.
But the question now is, what really happened to Zola's baby? Do you think the child disappeared forever? Do you think his mission was complete and he only came into this world to reveal the truth? Or do you believe the child will return again? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to hear your theories.
Never judge people by rumors or appearances. Sometimes the person the world calls cursed may be carrying the truth. And remember, truth can be buried for years, but one day it will always rise. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to African Tales by Ibe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss part 2, if the spirits allow it. Thank you for watching. And remember, at African Tales by Ibe, stories heal.